Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lighting the Way with Beth Green and Friends. Tonight, I want to talk about something that deeply disturbed me when I started to think about it. And it's this: humanity has survived many threats. Will we succeed this time? And I intend to explain to you what I mean and why I'm asking that question and what that means for all of us. But in the meantime, let me just tell you this is Lighting Wave with Beth Green and Friends. I will be doing some commentary and then I'll be bringing on my panel. So please write to us if you're on my public Facebook page or on YouTube, because then I will see your comments. So, you know, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about all the terrible things that we've lived through. I mean, the slavery uh, that we have sort of survived, and the rise and fall of the Third Reich, World War II, and the plague. I mean, you think about humanity over thousands of years or however long, and how somehow or other we keep coming back, and somehow or other we survive. So we survived McCarthy, Senator McCarthy, who was a rabid anti communist who was threatening people on the House Un American Activities Committee and all of that. Similar things to today. Foreign wars. The United States, I don't know if you heard, but the U.S. sent 3 warships to Venezuela uh, with Marines and troops and thousands of troops. Why? Excuse me? I mean, we just bomb people or we're getting ready to invade somebody. Um, we do all of this and we feel we have a right to do this. And these all harken back to other times in our history. I mean, there was a time when we considered Latin America as like in our back pocket and that we could do anything we wanted. We went to Chile and overthrew the democratically elected government. We went to Guatemala and overthrew another democratically elected government. We went to Iran and overthrew a democratically elected government because we didn't like them. Okay, so we've had those bad days, and we have had the days of Jim Crow. We've had massive racism in this country. And so, okay, you look at that, and yeah, I see that racism happening today. And you know what is really scary? Why are they creating all these immigrant detention centers? Who's going to fill them? So, is it us next? I mean, after they deport everybody, why do we need detention center after detention center? It's kind of scary. And we did very similar things in World War II. The Japanese internment camps, totally racist. We didn't have German internment camps, but we had Japanese internment camps. So we've had a lot of really bad things, and we've had people who have tried to, the Ku Klux Klan, we've had people who've been trying to uh, stop elections. All of this is happening in our world today. And so you say, oh, well, is that what it is? We've had horrible anti gay sentiment. There used to be a time when it was illegal to be gay in this country. So, but see, what we're going through now is all of it. They're doing all of it. And they're doing all of it at once. You probably know that the gerrymandering was passed by the Texas House. But the real reason that I'm asking, are we going to survive this time, is 2 words: climate change. We have never in our recorded history had climate change at the same time as all these other disasters. And we have a regime in our government that is dismantling all the progress that we've made towards addressing global warming. All of it. I mean, just take that in. He says, pollute, sure, go ahead and pollute. And Let's drill and let's stop all these green energy projects. They're going to make it, stopping green energy in the farms, solar, wind. And so not only are we not doing anything about climate change, we are accelerating the rate of climate change. That we will not survive, at least not as we know ourselves. If this continues, we won't recognize the planet. We won't have sufficient food because we won't have sufficient water. Masses of people are going to be displaced and will die. We'll have epidemics, which we're already having thanks to our brilliant Health and Human Services director. We're having another measles outbreak. We're not doing any more research into a lot of illnesses and needs for vaccines. So all of these things are life threatening. But nothing is more life threatening than global warming. You can live through X number of years of some awful president, dictator kind of character, and hope that at the end, people will come to their senses, get the guys out, and put in a more enlightened government that will once again take on accountability, responsibility, oneness, caring, maybe even care for our people. It's shocking that this government spends money on golden ballrooms and jets and tons of money on police and uh, National Guard and military and all of that, while they have no money for health care, no money for us, no money for schools, no money for hot lunches for children, no money to feed our people. And now they're even taking their vast resources and trying to dominate private industry, such as Paramount and CBS and all the media. And now they said, okay, they made a deal with Nvidia, and I forget the other one, that hey, you can sell in China as long as you give us a cut. And now they want to take a stake in Intel. And they're saying, of course, they won't interfere, like there's ever anything that the government is not interfering in. But let's say we live through all of this and, maybe we've killed a lot of people. Maybe a lot of people have gone out of their minds. So maybe a lot of homeless people have been put in concentration camps. Maybe we could recover from all of that. But how can we ever recover from climate change? We are so past the easy fixes. I love the fact that there are still intelligent people who are always coming up with ideas. Oh, this is how we can get the microplastics out of the water. This is how we can, clean up the oceans. This is how, and there's all kinds of, but is our government actually going to pursue any of this? And what do you do when you have a government that actively supports dirty fossil fuel and coal mining, which ruins the lungs of the miners and is trying to destroy green energy? How will we survive that one? So I am going to bring this to my great panel, see how, if anybody wants to address what I'm saying tonight and how they feel about what I'm saying. And first off, we have Todd Benton. Yay. And now we have Lizzie Treehard.
Hello.
Hello. And last but not least, on a different computer altogether, we have James Maynard.
Hello, hello.
Hello. So welcome. James, your volume is a little high on my end. I think I can turn it down, so don't worry about it. Oh, yeah. I can turn your volume down. Okay, you want to say hello again?
Hello, hello.
Hi, much better. Okay, everybody. So, uh, you've heard my wonderful monologue. And by the way, one of the reasons that I'm bringing this up is people are protesting. People are protesting everything. People are protesting the Epstein files, the betrayal of the Ukraine, the assaults on democracy, tariffs, and all of that. But I'm not hearing as much about the existential crisis of our time, which is climate change. So that's why I felt that I needed to come on the show and bring this up. So, who would like to share next?
I could share.
Yes. Okay.
Well, first of all, uh, I think we as a people need to mobilize and come together in a very powerful way such that we can throw the bums out. That is, mobilize to overturn the Republican domination of the House and the Senate in these next elections a year or so from now. If we can do that, then we can retake the reins of the government that the Congress is supposed to be responsible for, and start getting legislation going. And if Trump is able to last another 2 years until 2028, a lot of climate scientists have said 2030 is the magic date by which we really have to have our act cleaned up. So that means we have a very, very short span of time to really get it together. And I could be out of date on that. Maybe the date has been moved up or down, but we'd have to mobilize fantastically once we have the right leadership in there, and once we have the power of the people pushing for this. And by the way, I do receive uh, notifications regarding climate activists asking for support, and I always give my support. And now they're asking for money too, and we can talk about whether we can give money to them to help fight for climate, preventing climate change, global warming.
Right. Well, I hear what you're saying, James, and of course I agree. We've got to organize, mobilize to get the bums out. But we are so far down the line in terms of global warming. And I don't know what the magic date is now. But remember, we have an administration that is dismantling all of the climate pr- protections that they and environmental protections that we were at least starting to do. And so I think that in general, and I'm not talking about, of course, there are climate activists and there are animal activists who are, I still hear from them and sign this petition and do that. But I'm talking about in our general discourse, there's more on the Epstein files than there is on the climate catastrophe that we are creating. And now we have a storm called Erin that is the width of Texas. It's not like,
Whoa!
yeah,
Wow!
and we are in severe drought and other people are too, and and people in other countries are suffering even more, yet it's not front page news all the time, is it? That's my point. So thank you for what you said, but I still am saying something is going on here that needs to be reversed, that in my opinion. So thank you, Todd.
I'll go next. Yes, we're screwed. I mean, we're screwed if we don't. And it is, I think it is unpredictable that we will change fast enough. Now, we don't know how long it's going to be, um, but what's heartening to me is that I'm starting to discover people that are talking about it. Now, they don't have, it's not on the front page news, but it is uh, it is heartening to hear people that are educated, smart, caring, that are talking about existential threats to our survival, which the main one is climate change. I mean, there are others. We could get into a nuclear conflict, and someone could, but we know more about
We
that,
could probably survive a nuclear conflict
depending
better
how big
than
it is. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
exactly. Right.
But the
Hopefully,
parrot.
they'll get the rose garden. So I didn't say that. I do not want to be arrested for that statement. That was a joke.
Not to
Okay.
mention the Rose Garden's been paved over by Trump.
I
Yeah.
know that, but that's the point.
Okay.
So thank
the
you. Yeah.
the paradox is, as I see it, is we're on a trajectory of consumption and growth. That is our whole model, is based on growing our GDP to growth and consumption, and we're unless we turn that around, we're not going to. So unless something turns it around for us, like we run out of fossil fuels, which that's been predicted for a while, it's called peak oil, but we don't know when that's going to happen,
It
and
seems like it's not happening
no, I
because
mean,
they
not
keep
right now for
finding,
sure.
they keep finding, yeah, we don't have that much time. They keep finding new reserves. Oh, now we have, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
with
mean,
you. I mean, it's not a very enlivening topic. It's definitely depressing when you really face it, but there's something about facing it honestly. This isn't something that's, well, let me see. How do I want to say this?
it's not new that we don't want to face climate change.
Yeah, exactly. It's not new.
That's what you,
It's not. That's what I'm saying. And I think those of us who are awake enough realize that we are, under potential threat of the end of our civilization,
yeah,
especially when you layer AI on top of it.
yeah.
We just don't know what is going to happen. But I don't like to go with the doomsday that it's all going to fall apart, and I don't like to be the Pollyanna that technology is going to solve it all. It's like, maybe somewhere in the middle we can find. It's hard to see the pathway at this very moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the positive news is there's people all over the nation that are protesting everything and
Yes.
everywhere, and I'm amazed at the courage that people are showing, standing up to ICE, standing up to the Texas legislature. I mean, that one Democratic woman who's refused to be treated like a criminal.
Yes, that was great. I read about her today.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I'm not trying to bring doom and gloom,
Hmm.
just that it is gloom.
Yeah.
And it's really bad, and it is not the most important thing on people's it's one of the things that for decades we've been pushing down that awareness. But it's become more and more obvious as we have these no longer freak storms, once in a century floods happening every few years. We're in severe drought again in Oregon,
Yep.
where we are. And it's going to be 100 degrees in a couple of days. Um, uh, Another heat wave is coming. We're in the Pacific Northwest, for God's sake. You can't miss climate change. I mean, you may be sitting like we are. We don't see the ice raids. Of course, we see it on television. It's not that I don't know that they're happening, but the drought and the storms and the degradation of the environment, we all see it.
Yeah.
You can't be anywhere and not notice. That should be the thing that unites everybody. But it isn't. It's just my observation. I'm not talking about gloom. I'm not talking about doom. We probably are doomed. Maybe we'll be taken. Some asteroid will come down, and we'll all be taken out of our misery. So, but it is amazing that the thing that unites everybody is the climate. And now our brilliant government is defunding on the weather satellites, the things that do air pollution and some other things that I can never remember all the stupid things that are being done.
Mhm.
So that's my point, Todd, that this is, but yes, I agree with you. It's been going on for decades, and we have a worse administration now, and this involves everybody, and nobody can deny all of these quote natural, unnatural disasters. And yet it's not, we got to do something. Most people aren't saying, oh my God, we have to do something about this.
Agreed.
So, yeah, thank you. So,
I have one other little tidbit factoid that I could throw in
oh,
at
good.
either now
Oh,
or later.
good. Throw
Um,
it in.
so there was a study I was reading, and he was saying how we're so focused on now and not really organized for the future, and that's part of kind of the biological underpinning of our being designed for an era that was not the era that we're in now, like when we were cave people and we had those momentary stimulations where dopamine was like rushing in to protect us from something. But now we have so much stimulation. Anyway, the long and short of the research is that they ask people, okay, if you want to eat a healthy fruit or chocolate next week, what are you going to choose? And like the vast majority of people choose the fruit, right? But then it comes to today and they choose the chocolate.
Ah! That's fascinating.
So it's always like, in the future, I'm going to do this, but today, no, I'll take the chocolate.
That's great.
So it totally fits with what you're saying, Beth, and
Yeah.
it fits with what you have been saying. And you're like, you are guided or driven by something other than the biological, like dopamine, and it takes something to train yourself to not be in that state and to not be constantly just reacting and looking at now, but
Yeah.
that is one of the changes. And that's why I think what you're saying and the work that you do with people is so important, because it helps us get out of that construct of like constantly seeking the satisfaction in the moment and being able to look with a longer term
Yeah.
view of the world.
Well, thank you, Todd. By the way,
Mhm.
we have a comment from Amy. She said, excellent topic. Thank you. Yay, Amy. We appreciate that. Thank you, Todd, for bringing that up. I think one of the things that I was thinking about, but I didn't want to ramble on for a long time. I wanted to really get this conversation going,
Yes.
was that it's the ego, right? What
Yep.
you're talking about is we are very short term, me based in all of our thinking. And Amy says, I completely see that I avoid dealing with future consequences, but instead get caught up in day to day details. Yes. And day to day pleasures and highs, because I mean, most of us are pretty sad, depressed. I mean, people are really not in good shape.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so we do have that. And one of the things that I heard from the inner voice was that we should be informed by the past, live in the present, but be guided by the future. We should always be guided by the future. What I eat today should be guided by how this is going to impact me 10 years down the line. Look at people who uh, eat foods that promote cancer, for example. And by the way, I've also heard a statistic, and I don't know exactly what this means, but there are some studies that are showing that Americans are drinking less and smoking less now, and that includes the e-cigarettes and all of that. I don't know if they're all smoking pot instead of drinking.
Nice.
But I mean, there is some awareness now. It used to be said that, oh, yeah, you can drink in moderation. Doctors told you if you want your heart to be healthy, drink, red wine. Well, now they've debunked all of that, but people are realizing that is, another version of being guided by the future and doing what you're talking about, Todd, is looking at the future consequences. Lizzie, did you want to say something?
Oh gosh. This is an easy topic. Oh. I was waiting for you to get usually, when you bring things up that are very real, not blowing things out of proportion, but in the past you come up with, oh, let's look at it this way. And that was
Yeah,
waiting
well, I'm looking at it the only way you can look at it, straight
right on.
at it, right
So
on. This is not anything. I mean, because I do agree with Todd. I mean, there's a lot of people doing a lot of really fascinating studies, but it's not going to work if we don't make a united, a universal, concerted effort to do it. That means bringing all the nations together. Well, with our foreign policy, being dominated by Vladimir Putin, and all these corporations that just want to make money. And as you were talking about it, it's the bottom line profit. Look how we have run so many industries into the ground through the way that we structure our businesses. Short-term profits, money to the shareholders, not investing in our infrastructure. Not in, I mean, that's what Biden was trying to do, and he was vilified for it. And they're undoing all the good that Biden did. I'm not saying that Biden was great. I'm saying that whatever good things he did, they're undoing. So carry on, Lizzie. Being honest and straightforward is the good news.
It's just heavy. And I can totally understand why people are just going with being upset about one subject or another, upset about, you know, what the administration is doing, whatever, and just really getting away from, yes, the climate change, because that seems impossible, especially now with this current administration. And I mean, this has been happening for a while as far as just feeding division and separation and how long that's been going. But I think now it's just so apparent with this administration and Project 2025 and the goals with that. So as far as what the solution, I just keep coming back to, it's got to be the 100th monkey thing. As far as enough people wake up that all of a sudden everybody else wakes up. I don't know. I mean, how is that going to happen? I have no, I don't know what to suggest. I mean, people have to start caring. And how do you get people to care if all they want is more money and more power?
Yeah, well, the regular people in our country are freaking because the cost of living is going up, and it's getting harder and harder, and people are losing their medical insurance, and people are, we're scrambling. You see, one of the things the current administration really knows about shock and awe, don't they? They just do one shocking thing after another, and we just have to keep running to say, oh, we need to stop them from doing this. Oh my God, they have troops in Washington, D.C. They're now, they're teaching. You're not allowed to think anything that you're not supposed to think. You have to, and it's like you can't even keep up. You can't even keep up with all the attacks, and all of our resources are going into defending ourselves. And we have some victories, and we have a lot of losses, because even when we're right and the courts say this is bad, they do it anyway, and it doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't faze them. There's nobody to enforce.
There's no accountability.
There's no accountability, and there's no one to enforce. And we have just a sellout Supreme Court that is beyond belief that we thought, but there's still us. So one thing you can do, this is very self-serving, is share this program with people you know. Why? Because some of the people you know may be working on trans rights, gay rights, immigrants' rights, women's rights, reproductive freedom, all of these really, really important things, fighting against tariffs. But maybe they aren't thinking about that all of this will be for naught if we don't have, a climate that is habitable. And that is where we're going. So please share this program wherever you are, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Share this program with your friends. Yes, James.
Yes, I'd like to think of the similarity to an alcoholic who a lot of short-term gratification, right? But when you hit rock bottom, then you get motivated to turn it around, hopefully.
Sometimes.
And maybe that's what's going to have to happen with the people in this world. It gets so bad, and there are enough people clamoring from the rooftops, we got to turn this thing around with the global warming. Now, I will say this, on a global level, there are other nations that are doing a lot better than we are in terms of turning back. Even China, what used to be one of the biggest polluters in the world, they now have more electric vehicles on the road and they've turned back a lot of the pollution. And over in Europe, Scandinavia, in Norway, there are more electric vehicles than there are gas-powered vehicles.
Yeah.
And in Denmark, they got wind power running a lot of the electricity for the entire grid for the entire nation. So there are other countries that are doing great things. And so we do have some examples of what can work. And so mainly, if we're going to have to hit rock bottom to finally turn around and say, my God, we got to get going, at least we've got these models that we can point to and say, okay, let's do more of this, more of that, and hopefully in time to turn it around.
It's a very important point, and I agree with you that we do have that, but the U.S. is the big monster in the room that controls so much of the world's power. But fortunately or unfortunately, our government is frittering away our power. It's destroying our economy. It is destroying the goodwill that we've had overseas, our political influence, and maybe the grand design is that the United States is just going to crash, and maybe some other saner voices will come to the fore. But we might be making it just impossible for everybody just by our actions. But there you go. Maybe that's what's going to happen, James. We don't know. I never say a miracle cannot occur, but it may be a miracle that we don't like. Whether it's hitting bottom or losing the status that we once had, and hope that the people out there are a little bit wiser than our leadership is. Who knows? So I think I've given you enough to ponder on today. And please give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe, right? Subscribe to our channel and share this program. And on Facebook, please give us a love or a like and follow our page and pass this on to people who you love and who you want their ideas too, and want this conversation to percolate out. So don't forget to join us tomorrow night, Thursday night, with the Kindred Magical Improvs with the Kindred Spirits Band. I'm still getting more and more into my new keyboard, learning new things. And we hope to really help entertain and uplift people tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, YouTube and Facebook live streaming, and anytime thereafter. And we just lost Lizzie. So, and please come back next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time for Lighting the Way. So now I'm going to bring us out. One of these days, this is going to work.